guys? It's your boy Gsluke here with our round 3 prize picks preview for the Open Championship. Round 2 was a resounding success. 2 wins, 1 push for the community plays, which ended up getting us a 3x return. But on top of that, guys, really killed it from the showdown and for some of our 4 and 5 leg cards. So I'll go ahead and put 2 of them up on the screen. One of them, the community pick, which of course, you know, I'm smashing myself, but also hit on quite a few nice birdie or better props. A lot of them at 4, 4.5 were absolute smash plays on the slate. On top of a few of the matchups, like that Adam Scott prop there, which was an extremely close sweat. In either circumstance, you know, right around a 15 unit day for me in terms of profit. Never going to complain. So first off, excited about that, but even more excited about round 3 because it tends to be by far our best round. Now that we've had 2 days of sample size, a lot of info on the golf course, and also a smaller sample size of players to look at, we tend to have higher quality analysis. So with this momentum that we built up tomorrow, let's make it 3 for 3. Let's get the push out of there, go out there and get that 5x return. So really looking forward to it. Let's go ahead and hop right on in. Alrighty, we're going to go through the weather to begin, and for Saturday, it looks like a little bit of an AM-PM split. So in the morning, you got yourself really low winds, right? 1 to 6 miles an hour, gets right around 9 to 10 towards midday, but through the afternoon, upwards of 12 to 15 miles an hour of sustained winds, and wind gusts in that 16 to 22 mile an hour range. And now you may think, 8, 9 p.m., that is way too late to be considering that, but no. They are teeing off at 3:55 local time, and given that pace of play has been right around 5.5, 6 hours, there's a good possibility they're playing in these 20 mile an hour wind gusts. So for me, tee time is going to be extremely important, just as it was for Friday. And of course, that gave us the edge we were looking for, and perhaps here for Saturday, it'll give us that same type of edge. But just looking at the golf course in general, today it played easier than what we saw on Thursday, which was to be expected as well. We saw a lot of the rain coming in. We knew it would make the golf course a lot more receptive than what we saw there on the first round. And as a result, the scoring average was about a stroke better. It was plus 0.7 there in Thursday, but yesterday, I should say today, it played to right around a third of a stroke under par. And again, a lot of that due to the receptiveness of the greens, but it also played relatively flat. So if we split this by wave, you'll see in the morning, in the afternoon, it played to right around the same difficulty, but that was because the wind was flat, right? There wasn't super high wind gusts in one wave versus the other, whereas here for Saturday's round, that's exactly what we get. So when we hop into the prize picks board here in a second, there's going to be an emphasis on, taking the guys that are quote unquote underpriced, but also in the advantageous wave. So with that being said, who are some of those plays, right? At the top of the board, let's start with Justin Thomas, who will be teeing off early at 6:15 a.m. Eastern time, so right around 11:15 local time there in Scotland, and somebody who has been an absolute ball-striking fiend through the first 2 days, has gone out there, been top 15 in the field in shots gained tee to green. Just unfortunately, the putter has completely abandoned him. Whether it's been for birdie or for par looks, he hasn't been able to buy a thing out there, and that's been with the rest of the field sinking them from 20, 30 feet all day. I mean, these greens are running extremely pure, and even though they are firm, fast, and have plenty of undulation, you're seeing plenty of putts made just because they're so perfect. They really don't have all that many imperfections. It's just links golf, for whatever reason, you tend to see a lot more birdie putts made. So Justin Thomas, he's got the ball striking we're looking for. I just think he needs to get that flat stick to turn around. And, if there's one thing that can turn around in a hurry when it comes on the PGA Tour, it's putting. It's the most volatile stat from round to round out there, even tournament to tournament. So I like him there at 4.5 birdies. I have him projected for just over 5. So obviously it's not like it's a super smash pick there, but I see him getting to over 5 right around 60% of the time per my modeling there. But if you are looking for my projections and of course my hit rates for all the props I give on the video and all the props I'm taking on the board, right? It's not just the 3 picks here. These are just the community ones that I'm giving out. Make sure to check it out. I believe for the slate, there's at least 16 props up on my site right now. And obviously for the top picks, you're also going to get my hit rates, projections, and all that sort of fun stuff. So make sure to check it out if you haven't already, but I do like Justin Thomas at 4.5 birdies. Also, Paul Casey teeing off even earlier at 5:55 a.m. Eastern time. They're at 4 birdies. So somebody who is dealing with injury concerns, that's really why the line is where it's at. I mean, when Paul Casey is playing his best golf, he should be priced I mean, at least with guys like Adam Scott, I mean, at least with guys perhaps even like a Shane Lowry or Hideki Matsuyama, I mean, he's a top 25 player in the world when he's not injured. And really, that's why he is where he is on the board. And over the last 2 events, so on the Live Tour, and then what we've seen through the first 2 rounds of this event, he looks like the Paul Casey of old. And Paul Casey of old at 4 birdies on this board is disrespectful. I have him projected for over 4.5 birdies. So while it's not over 5, right? It's not like JT, who's obviously head and shoulders a better player than Paul Casey. He has more than enough push equity here, but also quite a bit of hit equity, right? So he's a relatively safe pick to take. If we're going to have one push like we had for last round, it's probably going to be Paul Casey here, but I really like its chances to go over as well, given that he's going off in the advantageous wave, there at right around 11 a.m. local time, so won't be dealing with any of the super bad wind gusts. Also more receptive greens, more pristine because they haven't been trampled on by players all day. All those things play into his advantage. And next up, we've got a strokes prop where we're fading Patrick Reed, right? Obviously, the reason why we pushed with Jordan Spieth today, and that's why he's at 70 strokes, which for a par 72 setup, that means you have to shoot 2 under par, right, to push, 3 under par to hit. And really, I don't see Patrick Reed doing it 2 days in a row. He's way beyond his prime. He, even on the Live Tour, has looked shaky at best. I mean, he's had a few decent rounds, but has backed him up with piss poor performances. So at 70 strokes, I project him for closer to 71 strokes. And in terms of push equity, I mean, there's a ton, right? I mean, at best, he's probably going to shoot 2 under par here, if not something closer to 1 under even, or perhaps even over par. He's teeing off towards the afternoon, which again, 8:25, that's a good 2 hours after these other players. So it's not like he's teeing off in the afternoon over there, but he's teeing off towards midday. So towards the end of his round, maybe even the middle of it, will be exposed to some of the worst winds on the golf course, which isn't ideal. Also somebody due for some regression. Like I said, has kind of been playing over his head. If you take a look at his Live Tour sample size, anything on the PGA Tour, there have been sporadic decent performances, but they haven't lasted very long. I mean, even at events where he's finished in the top 25 or even top 10, it's really either been like 1 or 2 solid rounds and then 2 mediocre performances, or even just 1 solid round that gets him through the cut, and then he's just kind of dragging it along throughout the weekend. So I'm not a huge believer in him long-term, and obviously, if we're going to get him at 70 strokes, which is, there with Hideki, right? There with Shane Lowry, I think that's ridiculous. He's not that type of guy anymore. And also, if there's a prop that's going to get bumped, probably is this Patrick Reed prop there, 70 and a half, and at that number, it's not the worst thing on the board, but not my favorite. Obviously, there's guys that I would pivot to, and if you're on the Patreon page, be able to take some of those pivots to get to, because that push equity there with Patrick Reed there is a huge reason why I'm getting to it in my cards. That's all I've got for the round 3 picks. Make sure you go ahead and hit that like button before you hop out of here. And also, comment down below what your favorite prop on the board was. I appreciate all your support here. Best of luck with all of your round 3 slips. I'm really feeling a 3 for 3 here. It's pretty much a mispriced board. I mean, I think they expect it to be perhaps a little bit easier than we expect, but not with the guys down low, right? Guys like JT could have been 5 birdies. Paul Casey could have easily been 4.5 birdies. So perhaps we see some live movement by the end of the night, but as it stands, I mean, pretty solid board to me, so I'm looking forward to it. I already have a bunch of cards in myself, so I'm locked in with the lines that we have. So hopefully you guys get on this quickly, are able to jump on the props before any line movement happens. But best of luck, like I said, for Saturday, for any fantasy lineups if you're going that direction too. I do already have a video up on my channel, a replay of the live stream I did, going over round 3 from the fantasy perspective. So if you're playing Showdown over on Draftkings, make sure to check it out. And like I referenced throughout the video, if you want to get all of my projections, again, hit rates, projections for all of the guys that I'm taking on the slate, advice, access to the community Discord, all that sort of fun stuff, make sure to go out and check the description. It's Patreon, it's $10 a month to join that. It's definitely well worth your money. So, and we smashed today. We had multiple huge cards that hit, and multiple people in the community that won a lot of money as well. So really hoping we can run it back here for the 3rd round, and let's get this cash, fellas.